So guys, let me share my screen and we'll start the class now. So guys, this was the last topic I think we have done. That is Porter's generic strategic model. That is cost leadership, cost focus, differentiation leadership, and differentiation focus. Okay. Now we have to start with the next topic that is called the international strategies now. Okay. So when I'm just talking about the international strategies, we are exactly covering up the few important points that how the company is actually going for different phases of internationalization. Okay. Now here we are talking about the four major phases through which a company is basically transforming themselves from domestic company to domestic company to multi-domestic, international, global, and transnationals. Okay. So we'll definitely discuss in terms of strategic perspective that how the companies will basically going to frame their strategies in order to go ahead. Okay. So when I was talking about this particular topic, that is about the comparison or the transition of these strategies from domestic, international, global, and transnational, what are the key important parameters they need to keep in consideration? Okay. And the first thing I'm talking multi-domestic. Now you can see there are certain bases on which we are comparing. The first one is global integration and second one is local responsiveness. Okay. So when I'm talking about this particular point, that is global integration, definitely you can see that there is a low pressure of global integration. If a particular company is serving only multi-domestic market, in India only, you are serving to Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Punjab, you are serving only into the domestic territory only. Means high risk pressure for local responsiveness because these companies are serving their product only in the local market only. Okay, so there would be a high pressure local response because people expect the product to be delivered as per the expectation of the customer only, and there would be very less pressure of the global integration. Okay, you can take n number of examples: Amul, Mother Dairies, Saatchi. Okay, we talk about Akash. There are a lot of examples which we can cover up that exactly come under multi-domestic company. Any example, please, from your end, please? Anyone? Multi-domestic company, high pressure of local responsiveness, and very low pressure of global integration. Anyone? Yes, multi-domestic companies, Patanjali. And guys, I think am I audible to everyone? Example of multi-domestic companies. Amul, yes, very good. Mother Dairy, Amul, Parle-G, because they have a very, very high pressure for local responsiveness. Means they need to fulfill the demand and requirement of the local people. They need to fulfill the needs and wants of the local people. Okay, Nestle is not an Indian company, first of all, but definitely we can consider. Nestle is one of the example. What else? Brew, Britannia, Parle-G. Yes, very good. Very good. Okay, let's go to the next slide then. That is international now. Again, you have a low pressure of local responsiveness. Means now your company is serving the product into multiple countries. An Indian company started from India only. Now they are serving in different markets. That is called international companies. Any example of international companies where again there's a low pressure of globalization or global integration, but there is a where there's low pressure of local responsiveness as well. Any example of international companies? P&G. Yeah, P&G is basically a global company. MTN, yes, we can cover up. MTN is a very good example. Amazon, yes. Flipkart recently has gone for the international. Because see guys, try to understand. There is a very thin line difference between international companies. If a particular company is serving their product in India, their main market is India, but they actually expanded their market, but still their focus is Indian market only. Okay, like it happened with Micromax. Okay, the Micromax is one of the company basically started from India, and now they are actually serving to different part of Asia as well to serve their products. Okay, but make sure these companies are not global companies because they are actually serving the product to nearby countries only. Okay, that is called international companies. Clear, guys? Everyone? When it's come to global companies now, global companies means these companies, yes, Hero is one of the examples shown, very good example. Okay. Global companies are those companies which are actually having high pressure of global integration and low pressure of local responsiveness. Means basically these companies are serving the product throughout the world uniformly. Okay, throughout the world uniformly. Like for example, Coke, Pepsi, Intel, HP, Samsung, Apple, Colgate. See, guys, one thing I just want to tell you first of all, there's a very thin line difference between these two, global and international. Try to understand the differences of low pressure of local responsiveness. I mean, these companies are not at all altering their product as per local requirement. But when it's come to transnational companies, these companies are basically altering their product or making changes in the product as per local condition. Like we talk about the example of, you could say, these companies like Pizza Hut, Domino's, KFC, McDonald's, these companies cannot, again, I'm repeating that, these companies cannot actually sell beef in India. Okay, so they have to understand and launch the product as per local requirements as well. There's a one example of transnational. Okay, what else? Other example of transnational? Apple maybe comes under transnational because they are making some changes in that as well. Okay, Unilever is one of the company. Yes, Monica, it's correct. Yes, guys. Examples of transnational companies. M&S, yes. M&S, IKEA, yes, that will again come transnational only. Land Rover, Walmart, then FedEx. Okay. So, guys, just what's my purpose to explain this topic is that because difference between global and transnational is nothing but global companies are basically serving their product throughout the world without any changes uniformly. But transnational companies are basically designing the product as per the requirement of the local market as well. The product branding would be similar, but there's a minor changes in that. That is called transnational. I hope so, guys, this slide is clear, everyone. How we can bifurcate multi-domestic, international, transnational, and global companies. See, multi-domestic means a particular company serving in domestic market only. Okay, it means that let us suppose MTR. Okay, one of the very good brand of South India when it's come to serving their products. Now they are expanding their branches to different part of India. Previously they were serving only in South, and now they are moving to different part of India as well. It is called multi-domestic. A company from a region in India restricting their operation to India to that region only. Okay, and then they are expanding their operation. Yes, definitely in India only, but I can about. Festus, global and transnational. Festus just try to understand any particular company serving the product throughout the world similarly, like Dell, HP, Coke, but any company, those who are actually serving the product throughout the world with some minor changes, like because there are some legal restriction, some restriction from the government. Because of that, you are changing some, you could say, minor changes into your product and serving the product into the you could say companies that's come transnational. Like if we talk about the example of India, that in India the beef is not allowed. Okay, so beef is not allowed, so that this particular you could say fast food chain companies cannot sell the beef in India. That's the reason these companies are considered transnational as well. Clear, Festus? Yeah, sure. Shall I move, guys, to the next slide if it is clear? Sure. Now you can see that these are the basically international strategies now we're discussing right now. The first one is identifying the international opportunities. Means first of all, whenever a particular company is going international, they need to identify about market size, because that is a basic purpose why we are expanding your operation. Okay, it may be ROI, it may be increasing economies of scale, location advantage, increase market size. Like Tesla recently come to India. Flipkart expanded to we can say to wholesale market as well. Okay, so these are the basic example. Whenever a particular company is expanding their operation in different part of the world, these are the basic reason behind searching the opportunities to the market. Then we have explore resource and capabilities. Means you need to understand about the advantage which you might have. Okay, resources which you can access. Okay, then we can talk about the strategies we can opt. Okay, so basically when we discuss about this exploring the resources and capabilities, means what is the purpose behind entering into that country, what advantage you can get it out of it. Okay, then use of core competencies, means whether you need to go for mode of entry we're talking right now, whether you want to as an exporting company, licensing, strategic alliances, acquisition, establishing new venture. Okay, so there are basically the ways through which you can enter into the new market. Now, definitely, whenever you are entering into any country with any of this mode, you have certain level of risk as well. Okay, because set up your company in different part of the world, definitely it requires some huge cost with that. Okay, and that huge cost basically simply associated with the certain risk. Now, important thing is that in order to sustain into the market, into the other market or foreign market, you have to focus on the performance and innovation. What new you can offer to the customer, what you can offer to the it's a customer over there, which is better than the existing companies in that particular territory. Okay, so that is basically the part we're discussing right now about competitive outcomes, that about the performances, and we can talk about the innovations. Clear, guys? I think it's very simple. Then I'll show you some example as well now. Shall I move? If it is clear. Any doubt? Any other point? Sure. Now, this is the intent strategy for, say, MACD we have just discussed right now. That is intent strategy of MACD. It includes the pressure for local response in a very low and global risk very low. The key features of that is that they achieve activity efficiency by focusing on domestic activities. International operations are largely managed centrally, and relatively little adoption of product to local needs. Like I take the example of beef. Okay, so that comes under McDonald's. I think we discussed already. That is one example of multi-domestic strategy for Nestle and MTV. Just have a look, guys, these examples. Clear? Perfect. Now, the next important topic that is about the how the companies actually the major challenges which they faced. I think when I'm just talking about now, as you can see, there are two different type of strategy, which is visible and invisible. Okay, because whenever you are actually formulating the strategy for any company, you have to understand about the structure in terms of system, strategies, process, and goals. Okay, now, there are some other things because whenever you are targeting any market, you have to keep in mind about the certain things which are hidden in nature, which are invisible in nature that you need to understand. That is about the behavior, value system of the country, attitude, implicit norms, hidden assumptions, okay, or undone rules of the country, culture specifically are talking right now. Okay, it means that whenever you're targeting any particular country, you have to keep in mind about the structuralization. Whenever you are strategizing a particular product or a particular company or a particular brand, you have to keep in mind the visible aspect should be go thoroughly, but you need to understand the harder part, the harder to see, recognize, discuss, and manage. So, important thing is that you need to understand the invisibles in lie below the waterline. Okay, that is an important perspective because majority of the company is always basically hiding this thing because you need to understand the in-depth requirement of the particular country, what exactly the company is looking for, and according to that, you need to move ahead. So that is basically the next important part about the strategies. Whenever you are finding easier to see, plan, track, and evaluate, but harder to see, recognize, discuss, and manage. It happens with every company, guys. Make sure. Is it clear? See, implicit norms basically the certain value system of the country. Okay, which certain norms which are hidden in nature. Okay, so that exactly will come under implicit norms. We talk about value system, religion, caste, languages. Okay, social expectations, social acceptance. That everything come under implicit norms. But that is always hidden in nature. Clear, guys? Everyone? Sure. Now, when we discuss about the building competitive strategies, we are talking about this particular three basic phenomena. The first thing we are talking about the building competitive strategy in international market. Use international location to lower cost or differentiate your product because whenever you are expanding yourself to different market or different countries, you need to understand what is the advantage you have, whether you would be in a condition to reduce your cost or whether do you have some advantage to differentiate yourself. Second one, sharing resource and competency and capability. We discuss all the other point and gain cross-border coordination benefit. What benefit you have when you are moving to different countries or different part of the world. Okay, I think this points we've already covered up, guys. I think I should move to the next slide that we've also done. This example, I think you can just see the slide one. I think once I think so. There's a four basic example I have quoted as well about the global, transnational, international, multi-domestic strategy. An example I have also mentioned. Okay, have a look, guys. We discussed these points in detail as well. Local responsiveness and cost reduction considerations. Yes, have a look, guys. Let me know any doubt in this. Clear, Anubhav? Texan Instrument, where it is written. See, this is an example from international market only. So basically, it's a global strategy for one of the company that is called Texan Instruments over there. Okay, as a company name. But example which I quoted to you, that is a local example, or we can say example in Indian context. Okay, sure. See, Adam, basically demography is one of the most important part because in terms of your age, you could say gender, income level, okay, these are the basic factor which always play a very, very crucial role when it's come to taking decision. Demographic factor will always play a very crucial role when it's come to strategization. When it's either it is international, multi-domestic, global, or transnational, demography analysis is very, very important from perspective of marketing strategies.